So I'm going to talk about Kamala Harris, the presidential elect, one topic. Then I'm going to talk about Donald Trump for one topic.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate our engineer for getting me correct on that. Shout out to Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
So, has presidential elect VP Kamala Harris, has she done enough to secure the vote for the demographic she's targeting?
If you're talking about black women, you're talking about whites, Asians, black women, women, period. Yeah, I think she's done enough. Talking about black men, no, she has not. No,
Mm.
no, no. And I think that's why it's sad to say that's why people are kind of trying to go towards the other way. But, you know, I want to be objective. So I'm just going to say that's why there's black men, they're still going towards the other way, which is a shocking stat. But if you look at the overall board across the board, that's not a shocking stat. If you're leaving black men out of the policy, if you're not even mentioning them, because we all know in reality that neither party's really going to do that for the greater good of black males. But you're not even mentioning them in your policies. You're not even mentioning them in your speeches. So all you're doing is saying, well, this person, this party hates you, so you should just come over here. You got to do more than that. So I mean, that's just me speaking from observation. That's just not my personal opinion.
All right. So, have to be fair.
Hmm.
Have to give you an update on the policy that VP Kamala Harris has given to black men.
Okay.
Because when we put
I would
this,
love to hear this. Go
because when
ahead.
we put this out there, there's going to be people correcting us, jumping on us, disagreeing, or whatever.
Mm.
So if I don't put this out there, it's going to make us look like we don't know what we're talking about. So in regards to Kamala Harris' policy towards black men,
Mm.
providing $1 million in loans that are fully forgivable for black entrepreneurs and others to start businesses, championing education, training, and mentorship programs that help black men get into good paying jobs that are in high demand industries, supporting regulatory framework for cryptocurrency. There's a lot of people out there that talk about cryptocurrency. I'm not one of them, but if cryptocurrency is your thing, presidential elect Kamala Harris is behind it. Launching a national health equality initiative focusing on black men that addresses, wait for it, sickle cell disease, diabetes, mental health, prostate cancer, and health challenges that disproportionately deals with black men. And last but not least, legalizing I'm stumbling over this word, recreational
Uh-huh.
marijuana and creating opportunities for black Americans to succeed in that industry.
Right.
So those were 5 policies that she put out there targeting specifically black men. So I have to put that out there.
Okay.
Don't know if that changes your viewpoint, but I got to get the message out there. She has talked about black men. She is attempting to throw policies towards black Americans and black men.
Okay. Do you
Gotcha.
want me to respond to that, or you just
Yeah.
telling us? I guess when you hear that, it sounds good. I hope that she holds her. I hope that she holds her word on that. I think that's a step in the right direction. Let me put it to you that way. Um, I think those policies sound better than what the other party is promising, which is I don't know what they're promising. So I guess it can't be that sounds better, and that's an upgrade from hey, that other party doesn't like you. You need to come to this party.
Mhm.
So now it seems like she's adding something more to the pie. And if we give you 4 years to do this, at least come through with some of it. That's a step in the right direction.
So me and you talked about this. We as older men who voted, we voted in various elections. We talked about Obama's presidency and where we as black voters fell short. We were looking at the top of the ticket and not the in between elections that control the policies. So, my thing to piggyback off your statement, I agree with you but then we also got to get out there and vote for the House and the Senate in between,
Completely
because
agree.
those elections actually push forth the policies to anything, not just for the black male, any policies you're thinking of, whether it's on the education front, whether it's on the healthcare front. We have to get out there outside of the presidential election and vote in those other elections.
Let me ask you something as a quick question. When Trump was in office, was the Democrats running the House and Senate?
It was
both?
kind of equal.
So he can't pass a law without having them on both on the same page, right?
To a degree, like there's other branches of government. So in the judicial branch, which affects the Supreme Court, that's kind of tilting it in the opposite direction. Because if he gets in office, they already said he's going to, what is there, 2 more seats that could be up in the Supreme Court?
Yeah, there's 2 that are getting older. They're lifetime appointments, so unless they retire, then whoever's in office when somebody passes chooses the replacement, so it can impact for a long time.
So that right there can tip in the opposite direction. But if did my research correctly, there's 249 seats up for election. I believe so.
The whole House is always up every 2 years, and then the Senate is like a third every 2 years.
There's a lot of seats up for re-election.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'm just a quick crazy question, because I'm kind of, I think the silver lining is that when Trump came in, because let me say this, and I just want to make this point, and I'm not trying to just pull him out, but we're going to get to him later. When Obama came into office, everybody was happy. Obama. Oh, we got him in the office. But I don't think people understood politics. I think they just thought,
you were telling me that.
Get him in the office, and everything's going to change. Nothing changed.
You said that from day one. I give you credit.
Right, because he needs certain ways to pass laws. And then you understand about the judicial system, just what you talked about with the Supreme Court and how we found out about RGB. So when you start to think about these things, it was helping us understand the politics. So now fast forward, Trump comes in, he's doing whatever he's doing, and now we're understanding how he got to do what he was doing. There's 2 ways of looking at this on both sides, whether you're looking at it from Trump's point of view or whether you're looking at it from Harris's and the Democrats' point of view. You now understand when you get in there, now you're understanding it. So even with Trump, which we'll talk about next or later on, I think when he went in there and it was how reported, allegedly, like they didn't think they were going to win. But they wanted to start something and go from there. They got in there, but they didn't have a plan. This time when he goes in there, he's going to have a plan.
The plan coming. It's called Project 2025.
So my whole thing is, on that flip side, he started something, he sparked something, and now they have the plan when they do get in there. Whereas with Harris, I think it's on that side, when you look at it from that angle, it's not just we get you in there and it stops that part. You need to do something else on your end other than just stop that part.
Yep.
You're basically just telling us, how can I put this? You're basically just telling us, well, if he gets in there, it's going to run ransack. So you should just vote for me because you don't want that chaos. You got to do more than that, because there's another 4 years coming behind you.
Yep.
So if you have, and I'm so mad that I don't have the article or the person. I think it was on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, and the gentleman was talking about it in the New York Times. He released the article, the writer, and he was saying if you listen to statistics, with Biden and Obama being in there, the statistics for black males didn't change. So what are you doing to motivate us to keep voting for you? What do we have to lose? Even if he runs ransack, it ain't going to change nothing from what it was when he was in there. Now, you may not agree with that. I'm just telling you, it's basically what he's saying is the point I'm trying to make. Even if we put you in there and it keeps the peace for these 4 years, it's not doing anything for our people or our culture. And you're just telling us just to keep tolerating or taking you being in here just so he don't get in there, just so their plan doesn't work, just so what you don't agree with doesn't affect you. It's got to be more than that. Mm-hmm. So go ahead. I'm sorry, though.
No, good point. I agree to an extent. I agree with you on that because I believe since I've been voting since I was able to vote. So I'm going on close to 20 years of voting. You longer than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get to a place where they don't look at our demographic, our voter block as, hey, you just need to get us in there just to get us in there. I hope we're working towards that. And I believe we're going in steps in the right direction. Do I believe that if Donnie Boy gets in, that nothing changes for our culture? That part I slightly disagree with, which we'll get into next. But we'll see. I'm just happy that we're at a place that, even for myself, I'm not perfect. I'm still learning a lot about politics. It's making me read more and study and so forth. I'm just happy that we're talking about it as a community. I'm happy that this election and the previous election inspired me to learn more, to read, to go back over what I learned in high school and so forth. So the next part of this is talking about Donald Trump. The thing that came out in social media that we all saw, he did an interview, I want to say on Fox News. And they asked, the clip was kind of cut, so I don't want to take it out of context. But from the clip that they put out on social media, he said in regards to free choice and with school, they're going to do away with the Department of Education if he wins his presidency. His words, not mine. Now, we're going to get into what that means. But just on the surface, when you heard that clip, when I shared it with you, what went through your head?
Then he's going to say he's going to get rid of Board of Education. That's called insanity. That's called putting us backwards to, like, in simpler terms, the Flintstone era. And I don't think it's going to hurt anybody but the people that clearly don't look like him. You know, I mean, that's insanity. Why would you? Because then what? What? How are you going to get funding? How are you going to do anything? I don't think,
when I was reading those comments, and I'm not going to put anybody's name out there, but there was a lot of celebrities and a lot of rappers that really didn't understand what that meant. I saw a whole bunch of comments from our community saying, well, I didn't learn nothing in history, so what do I care? What does that mean? I don't think you truly understand what the Board of Education actually does outside of what you learn in school. Go ahead.
So the Board of Education, well, break down what the Board of Education does.
There's a lot of facets, but I'll give you an example. So I'm a parent. One of my children, I have 3 children. One of my children in school receives services. They receive speech services. They receive occupational therapy. They are also on the spectrum, so they also have learning services within the classroom. All of those things are funded. They get funded by the federal government. If the Board of Education goes, kids with disabilities like my son and thousands of other parents lose out on funding in their state to receive those services. And our children, mine's included, especially since my child is on the spectrum, I have no problem saying that. A child like mine who's on the spectrum, who receives services, will no longer have access to those. Now, I will say, we do live in a liberal state like New York. So states like New York and California might be okay, because we generally do good with our funding within our states. But I think about all of our communities, not just in New York. I think about the Midwest, the South. So, pardon me. So, okay, let's say my family's okay. But what about that child in Ohio where their state don't get that kind of funding, or Kentucky or North Carolina or Virginia? You see where I'm going with this? That's just one facet. Second facet. Pardon me. Let's say your child one day grows up and wants to go to college. They want to inspire to go to college. You got a college degree and I got a college degree. When we filled out those financial aid loans, how many of us needed Pell Grants to attend school?
Right.
No, I'm asking, how many of us needed Pell Grants?
A lot of us.
Pretty much the majority of us needed Pell Grants because our parents weren't making over $150,000 to fund that.
Right.
Guess who's in charge of Pell Grants?
Board of Education.
Title I funding, which pretty much the Board of Education. that gets cut, poor folks don't go to college. Because ain't no way you're funding it out of pocket. I can pull up Chat GPT and go to HBCUs and see the percentage of students at HBCUs that need Pell Grants to attend college. Guess what it's going to say? 67 to 70% of all HBCU students need Pell Grants. The poorer the education goes, who does that affect?
Right.
That was a simple math equation. I'll say it again. Maybe it flew over some people's heads. If I pull up Chat GPT and ask what are the number of students that attend HBCUs that need Pell Grants, it's going to give me a number around 60 to 70%. If that funding gets cut mathematically, who does that hurt?
No, everybody.
And again, I'm still on the surface level. There are other facets. There are teachers. There are so many facets that the Department of Education controls outside of the history books. If that goes, we are going backwards 75 years. I got some more, but go ahead.
So let me say this. I just think that if we were just talking about the Board of Education, it just seems like to me its policies are going to be set for us to go set back. We're going to fail. It's going to get worse. It's going to get real bad. And when I say bad, I don't think you understand how bad it's going to get. It's just going to create chaos. Why would you want that? Did you not
I have
see?
an idea.
Did you not see what happened January 6th? Are you understanding what I'm saying? It's not the equivalent. Everybody will start jumping over and attacking schools, but it's the fact of less education, unemployment going up, and every time anything gets worse, it affects our people and culture more than anybody. So if you're a person of color, I just don't think. I mean, it's horrific. And let me say something else that's really irritating me. I understand if you want to vote for him and that's your policy, and trust me, I get it. When this election first started, he was making a lot of sense. But
To you, that nigga wasn't making sense to me.
There was a lot of things he was saying that he was overriding Biden. Let's just call it what it is, right? But the point I'm making is that it's not gonna go well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Just stop trying to look at he's making one good point and I'm gonna ride with that point because he rocks with that belief. What about all the other things? Do you understand all the other effects it will have if he's in office? Did we not see what happened? And now he's talking about Board of Education. You talking about giving free immunity to cops. That's the purge on people of color, period. Are you out your mind? Do you understand how that's working? And it hurts me and saddens me to see people that look like us on camera saying, oh, I think he's a great guy. And you know what's crazy? I'm not going to spill. I'm sorry. You know what's crazy? I saw it, and the location it was at was in the same city as where he took out a newspaper ad on talking about executing the Central Park 5.
In New York City.
How dare you? How dare you? I don't understand. Please help me understand. You think he's a great guy? Okay.
Talking about Lord Jamar?
I know.
I say names.
I didn't even hear his thing. I saw, because he keeps saying it too. But let me make this clear. That's another point. Can I respond to that?
Go ahead.
There's athletes, rappers, whatever you want to call yourselves. Oh, Trump's going to do this. He's going to do this. Let me tell you something. When that all collapses, you're going to be ducking and running. I don't care who says what, you will duck and you will run, and you won't be nowhere to be found talking and all this. Yo, let it do, and we'll do it independently by ourselves. Really? Because I ain't saying no names, but I mean, there's a dude out there that been saying he's going to have a school, and we still ain't seen that come up yet.
Oh, the school.
You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, the school that's been appearing for 10 years.
So my point is like, I don't think you understand. This is going to go left. It is going to be something that you can always bounce back from something, but it's the point you've made. We have relatives that are still alive from that era. They don't want to go back to that. They rather just say, yo, even though we don't agree with everything they're doing on that side, we can survive and build from that. You can't build from that. You starting from scratch and building back all over again. I can't. No, man, I can't. No.
So I'm gonna touch on that point last that you said, but I was talking off camera to our engineer Tyler, and he made a good point. So I agree with the point our engineer Tyler said, which was when we were talking about the Board of Education and comments, it does need to be reformed, and that's one thing I give credit to our engineer Tyler about. When he said he believes it needs to be reformed. If I could say that, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
You got it.
So I agree with him on that. I do agree with the reform part of it. It does need to be reformed. I would like to see more funding placed in correct areas. I would like to see teachers win the battle with their salaries because we all know they're underpaid. There's a bunch. I pay taxes for my house, so you do too. So we understand property tax and school tax. But to go that far left or right or however the terminology is, to go that far right to disband it, like we're not talking about effects that, okay, well, we can probably reverse this in 10 or 20 years. Now we get to the point where you just made about our families. So we're older Black men who still has family that live in the deep South. Not in the cute part like Atlanta, you know, the city part.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think some people who don't live in the South, when they hear the South, they mind go to Atlanta or to the cutesy part of Houston, Texas. No, I still have family. Like when you drive, you see nothing but nothing.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect because I don't want people to think I'm talking down on the South. I'm just saying where our family comes from. I'm proud of it. I'm proud to say I'm one generation removed from Mississippi. But going back to what you just said, the point you were making that I made off the phone, I don't have to look at a YouTube channel to envision what that might look like.
Yeah.
I don't have to pick up a history book and guess what that era looks like. Me and you still have relatives alive in their 70s and 80s from the South that we can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, can you refresh our memory how it was growing up in the 40s and 50s in Mississippi? See, I still remember having conversations with my great uncle who passed away, who told me, yeah, they dropped out of school at 8th and 9th grade because at that time it didn't make sense for them to finish school because there was no opportunities and they had to help their family sharecrop. See, I still remember those conversations, and I still can have those conversations because those people are alive. When I see those celebrities online, I don't think y'all talking to your elder family members. You can't be. There's no way you talking to your great uncle who's 70 years old, who's from Virginia, who's from South Carolina, and you're not getting the gist of the lack of opportunity they had from the unemployment rate, as you said, because you brought up unemployment, and the lack of opportunity they had from no access to education or being discriminated from the schools they weren't allowed in, not just in high school, but in college. Because I believe it was a podcast we did a while ago where during Black History, where I brought there was a person that got denied from Texas University just because they were Black, but they had the grades to get in. I don't think y'all talk to your elders about that time period. Yeah. Because I keep hearing it's not going to be that bad. Well, I could talk to those family members. Yeah. They can give me a nice little refresher memory. So, yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off that.
I 1,000% agree. I'm just basically saying the same thing. I don't want to go back to that. It sounds cool. You say it sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds
Let's be more
cool.
independent. And I get it. There were benefits of it. I'm not disputing that. But we can't go back to that. We can't. We are not equipped to go back to that.
Let me say this. We're not equipped. Like a lot of those celebrity influencers, they make a certain income. So when you hear rappers such and such who says, oh, I'll be fine. Yeah, them and their immediate family. Because they probably make $500,000 a year from their industry. Yeah. You regular person from my community that's barely clearing 50, 60, 70,000. Yep. Mm-mm. Yep. Mm-mm. You and your kids. Mm-mm. Yep. Lack of access to education. Yeah. You can talk about you on homeschool all day long. That sounds nice at first. Yep. Good luck. Yeah. But yeah.
One second.
Go ahead, Ty.
Good on that point.
Go ahead.
I didn't think of this until just
No,
now.
go ahead.
But they want to replace everything, essentially, to boil their plans down to like private school or charter
Mhm.
schools. Or whatever.
Yeah.
So what if they said we take the funding for the Department of Education and we grant it to the states to subsidize, essentially? So it's a money grab, but if you're talking about equalizing education,
Right.
what do you think the impacts of that might be? If
You
that
go
was the
first.
If they take the money and give it to the state, and the state says, yo, we're going to disperse it out all through the school, make the schools all equal.
So now it's not public, it's private, but it's still government subsidized.
I got an answer for that.
I think, yes, in a fair world, that's a great idea.
Thank you. I'm
But
going to go in on that.
I think we both know there's going to be certain states that ain't going to hold their word on it. And it's going to become, i.e., go look up Brett Favre. It'll be some trifling like that. That's one governor. It's going to a few of them governors are going to play themselves and
Tyler
try.
just threw you the alley-oop.
Facts, super facts.
So that's exactly where I was going with my response. In a perfect world, that's a great question. First of all, I want to say that's our engineer who makes all this possible. That was a great question from our engineer, Tyler. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm diminishing his question. So I want to give respect to him. In a perfect world, that will work. Giving the funding to the states and letting the states decide.
Yeah.
That will work in a perfect world. But we seen when you live outside of certain states, like I said, we live in New York. Okay, we might be okay in New York.
Mm-hmm.
California might be okay. There's a few other states. But when you have state governors in Florida, we see who's over Florida.
Yeah.
Homeboy down
DeSantis,
there,
yeah.
DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
People in Mississippi, where my family's at, Alabama, so forth. I have to look at the whole pie, and I know those state governments, those state governors, those local officials will not be fair in those states. And as you said, like the Brett Favre situation, he's now doing a world tour, and I don't want to talk bad about people who have health problems, but saying he's coming down with dementia or whatever
Nobody
he's
cares.
dealing with.
No, I'm
But
not speaking for you. Nobody cares.
But when you were
Nobody
working
cares.
with the mayor to defraud the state of Mississippi for
Yep.
$75 million,
Yeah.
when Jackson, Mississippi and other counties didn't have clean drinking water, you didn't care. And that's the danger with sending the funding to states.
Yeah.
On paper, in a fair world, to answer our engineer's question, it would be great if all the states were fair and we had competent governments within those states that will look out for people who weren't rich. We all know the answer, what that's going to be. It'll be a lot of misappropriation of funds,
Yep.
and you'll be worrying why your school in certain counties in North Carolina don't have access to education,
Facts.
or Oklahoma, or Wyoming, or Kentucky, or West Virginia. I could keep naming the Appalachian states because I really do study history. It ain't just our people. Like there's some poor people in the Appalachian Mountains, that whole Appalachian area. Go ask them how they're doing with job opportunities and access to education. And they don't look like us, but they're going through our struggle in that area because of their state government. So if they're going through it in the Appalachian area, then I could just imagine what would happen if we turn over the funding to education to them. And that's my answer on that. Does that satisfy, Ty?
I just thought it was interesting to talk about it.
Yeah.
Nah, it is. It definitely is because that's the other viewpoint. Because I saw some of those comments too saying, well, you don't understand, state, it will go to the state, it will go to the state, it will go to the state. Well, they're sending Roe v. Wade to the states to choose over the right for a woman's body. And you see how that's affecting women. They already have one case. I know there's more, but they already had one case of a woman dying because she didn't, I want to say she was in Atlanta, Georgia. Not Atlanta, Georgia, but somewhere in Georgia where she couldn't get access to have an abortion and she bled out because blood clots or whatever. But that's what happens when you overturn Roe v. Wade and leave it to the state. Go ahead. Look like you was going to say something.
I just don't understand. Like, are you such a bigot and a / racist that you willing to just sacrifice all your rights? That's just what I'm gonna leave it right there because it's just pure ignorance and let me tell you, can I say something? So there was one that said, yo, I'm voting. And I'm not against, I just think with his track record, because like I said, a lot of things he say, he's not wrong. That's what people get irritated about. Biden was back there talking crazy years ago. Y'all ain't holding him to the fire.
You right
You know
on
what
that.
I'm saying? Or because let me play devil's advocate. Then he says, yo, we got Obama in office for 8 years. What he done for y'all? The rates, the statistics are still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now y'all got Harris in here, and y'all keep promoting. And let me tell you this. This is what I loved about it. And somebody on his team dropped the ball. Because they asked him during the debate that, let me also say, he went to the NABJ conference. He showed up. Harris, and the thing is,
I know you was going to hit on that.
no disrespect to Roland Martin, but he was like, oh, you know, he showed up, but look how he and he was going all in, right? But he showed up. And then he says, well, Harris is willing to do it on a Zoom. We ain't asked to be on no Zoom. You get your behind in there and show up.
To the National
You want to
Black
be all
Association
about our
of
people,
Journalists.
and you're all, especially about black women, you're all about them, and you didn't even show up to NABJ. He showed up. And when they had the next debate, you know, like CBS and all that, they say, yo, why you so focused on race? He wasn't focused on race. When he went to the NABJ, they asked him about it, and he answered them. He never brought it up. So my whole thing is, I'm not saying, because I don't like him either about a lot of things he's saying, but a lot of things he's done. But what he's saying is not wrong. What's the difference between me and Biden? Because Biden was out there saying who didn't want his kids next to you learning and studying. I just took out an ad on something that I thought that was true. We know there's more to it.
Oh, we
but
know
what
there's
I'm,
more to the
what I'm
Central Park.
saying to you is, what's the difference between me and that dude? What's the difference? Didn't I sign off on giving money to the HBCUs?
That he's still doubling down on ignorance.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Oh, I believe you. But my point is that he clearly has a base that doesn't care, and that they're so, which you can, I hate to say it, you can learn from it. They're all about their people and their culture. And their thing is they don't care what they got to sacrifice as long as they can be in control. So if you can be a cop and get immunity, really, we're willing to sacrifice other things. But I'm going to tell you, what they don't understand is it's going to bite you on the back end too. And as much as you think you're prepped for that, trust me, you not. Trust me, you not. Because those people that came in January 6th didn't think they was going to jail. They didn't think that, did they? And their ass is up in there now. You see him going to help them? So I just want to make a point. It's 50-50. I see what you're saying, but I'm just saying to a point is, can you be, and even if you're, and I'm saying bigot, but a lot of it is racism too. That's what I really want to say. But are you such a bigot or a racist, or you hate the other party so much that you're willing to roll with something that you know is not right? He blatantly telling you out loud, like, yo, this is what I'm going to do. Really? Mm-hmm. This is what I'm going to do. So my whole thing with Lord Jamal is saying, yo, you should rock with Trump. And I get it why he's saying it. He has excellent points. But my point is that, yo, when he gives immunity to cops, what's your answer going to be? Well, we've been going through that for years. Oh, you think it's bad now? I think you don't understand the level of the darkness it can get to. That's what
the
I'm
point
saying.
that me and you both brought up about going back to our family that's still alive.
Yes.
I know that generation is getting older, but a lot of those cats, a lot of our grandparents, my grandmother's still alive. I got her siblings alive, which are my great aunts and uncles and so forth. They can tell you how they felt about walking around at that time in the 40s and 50s.
Let me say this. My grandmother just passed not too long ago. We know this, right? I don't think, we have done a pie, but we haven't really talked. Let me say this. I saw the effects of post-traumatic slave syndrome. I'm going to say that again. There was a time where, and I don't want to get a whole history lesson, so people were freed, right?
Yeah.
But they still had the effects of slavery.
Mentally.
And then even though you were freed, you still didn't have civil rights. So you saw it. So now fast forward for a generation that's not accustomed to it. When you first realize it when you're younger, you kind of get so angry and frustrated, but they can't relate to you because they went through it worse. So they looking at you like, I get why you're coming from, but you got to maintain, because if that's all you got to go through,
you ain't go through nothing
what we
yet.
was going through. So just think about the darkness you're going to try to go back to in the generations ahead of you. You don't want them going through that. Trust me, I get it. There's another thing I want to say, but I don't want a certain community feeling a certain type of way.
Yeah.
But I know why they say what they say. I just want to say this as a strong heterosexual black male that is all about masculinity and all about being a man and provide and protect. It's being sold on Trump's side. It's not being sold on Harris' side. And I think that hurts. I think that hurts them. But I still think, no, it's not that. It's not good, man. It's not. You go on that side, it's going to get dark. It's going to get real dark. And trust me, your masculinity will be tested when you're getting pulled over or when you're getting called the N-word, blade out in his face in front of everybody. Trust me when I tell you. I know where they're coming from with that, but that don't change all that other stuff. And I can't imagine how that's happened. And can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
You talk about athletes and rappers. How all these because I was too young for the Central Park Five, so I didn't get it till it came out, till it got revisited. How are y'all even around this dude? How were you around this dude?
This is why when you just said, this is why when you said Lord Jamar made good points, I was waiting to jump in and say no, because he's older than you. So he was of age in New York City during the Central Park Five. And just as a heads up, they took to their social media today to say they're putting in a lawsuit to sue Donald Trump for defamation because he doubled down on their case saying certain things that weren't true. So in regards to the Central Park Five, I hope they win their new lawsuit because they're suing Donald Trump again. But go ahead. Yeah,
I just when you start seeing stuff like that, you can't come back over here. Like Brett Favre, it's just like with Brett Favre. We clearly know you got a race problem. It's evident. There's something you said. I'm not gonna get into it. But the point I'm making is because he over there, he said, "Yo, I don't believe that cop was willing to kill George Floyd." What are you saying, man? Really? I don't even know how you even go around anybody in the locker. I don't even want you over there. You got to go, brother. You can't be over here. You get what I'm saying? So the point I'm making is how they keep coming around. You couldn't say that about a Jewish person. You crazy? They would black boy your behind up out and cancel you so fast you wouldn't know what hit you. Why do we keep allowing them to keep coming around saying blatant racist stuff that is degrading to our culture and saying, yo, well, that was separate from who they... No. Nope. That's how you really feel. It's just now coming out. So you can't come back over here. I don't want you over here, man. You got to go over there. You got to go sit back over there in the corner. But that's just... I'm just making a point. I'm sorry.
Nah, that's a good point.
Go ahead.
Now, we got a lot more to this podcast. That was an interesting 30, 40 minutes we spent. And like I always say, I feel like that's important for us and every podcast to keep it going. To aspire us, our friends, our family, whoever might see this, to start researching. Because oftentimes you hear family and friends or just people in general, oh, I don't do politics. I don't care. You don't do politics. Politics is going to do you, whether you like it or not.
Let me say something. Can I say something?
Go
One
ahead.
more thing. Sorry. So I'm not going to say the culture, but my grandparents came from culture. I'm not saying that they aren't good people and they don't believe in what they believe in. But, it's all don't vote. It's not going to change. It's not going to help nothing. Let me teach you one thing. I want you to go and research your church or religion. This is one thing, and it's going to be without even being offensive. Look at their research as far as it dealt with slavery back in the day and before we had civil rights and what role they play. And I'll tell you everything you need to know about why you don't need to be supporting whatever you're supporting. If that ever was around supporting slavery or pre-civil rights and they were nowhere in the front line, I don't want to hear anything about you telling me not to vote. Am I making sense?
No, that's a great
so
point.
What you need
said
to
it without
do,
saying it.
what you need to do is whatever church you're going to, you need to look at their history. Don't go to no preacher because they ain't going to tell you what you want to know. Look at their actions. I want to know what this church was doing. I want to know what it contributes toward young black boys going to do college. I want to know what it does to entrepreneurship. The same ones telling you not to vote. I want to know what you're doing. Because if you ain't doing none of that, I don't want to hear nothing about not voting. I have nothing to hear from you.
And you the first person I heard put it like that.
That's just what it is. Facts. I found out some real interesting stuff, and I'm not doing it for everybody else. Y'all do it. Y'all want to know the truth? Go look it up. Or you can sit there and be dumb, deaf, and blind, and when you in a jacked up situation, going to somebody that's telling you wrong information,
ain't gonna be
and they
helping
leave
you out.
right in the dark. Right in the dark.
That's a hell of a point. You the first person, and as somebody who grew up in the church,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it, but I 1,000% agree with you on that sentiment and how you phrased it.
Yep.
Heck of a point. So that concludes our political section of the podcast. As we go on, we're going to bring it up. We're going to do a podcast before and after the November 4th election. So we'll jump on some more politics on the following.